not a hoodie. That's a dressing gown. Anybody who's watching can verify that that is, in fact, well, just because you stick a label on it doesn't mean it's not a dressing gown.
It's a fluffy hoodie. It's a men's hoodie. I've got fashion sense, unlike you.
Oh, Jesus. Where, 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 where did you say that you used to get? Where did you say you got that? Sorry.
It's from Jack and Jones.
Sorry, you're speaking to former manager of Jack and Jones. I didn't get there from the.
Yeah, well, you should know your fucking products, boy, because this is it.
Yeah, that's a dressing gown, mate.
Anyway, welcome to Biofitness Podcast, Biofit with Us podcast.
Well, we got there in the end.
I was very close to saying welcome to Run Club.
Well, sure, I said good morning to somebody last night when I was passing them. It was like 6 o'clock in the evening, and then I had my earphones on, and they must have just said hi. And I was like, morning. And I was like, I've just said good morning to somebody, and it's the evening time. That's.
Yeah, no, that makes me feel all bleh at the thoughts of that, but I've done it myself.
Oh, do you know what? Straight away, I was thinking like, I'm starting to remember all the times that somebody waved over at me, and I waved back, and then realised they weren't actually waving at me, and going, oh, I feel uncomfortable.
Or if you went for food and it's like someone's like, "Oh, have a good day when you're leaving," you're like, "You too."
I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, have a good day, then you saying you too. Like, that's all right. I accept
Or
that.
enjoy your food. You
Oh,
too.
oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fair. But I think that's just an automatic thing. But I'm just like the actual prospect of putting your hand up and like, and I put up a few in a poll last night, and I was like, calling your current partner your ex's name. That's up there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I voted for that one. I was just like, Jesus Christ, that would be. How do you get out of that? Like, how do you wiggle your way out of that?
Well, I'll tell you how I wiggled my way out of this. I called one of my one of my ex partners' names was Laura, but that's also my sister's name. So I called. I don't think it was Jen. I think it was somebody else I was going out with, and I was like, Laura. Their name wasn't Laura. And I was like, she's like, did you just call me your ex's? She literally said, did you just call me Laura's name? I was like, oh, sorry, I meant my sister. Whatever. And I was like, I don't know why that was a better excuse, but I'm like, at least it wasn't the ex. Yeah.
Yeah, my granny sometimes calls Adam my ex's name, and I'm like, we're together 8 years, please. Now,
Yeah.
in her defense, both begin with A, so she gets a little muddled. She's hitting an age now, but I'm still like, that's a tough subject there, Nini. Don't be doing that to us.
Yeah, I'd say Adam's ready with a fucking pillow to give her the long night's sleep. Like,
That's why he keeps telling her we're never getting married till she dies.
well,
He's like, it's revenge.
that joke's only funny until it's not funny anymore. I used to say that about my granddad. I was like, oh, you've not got another winter in you. And then when he actually didn't have another winter in him, I was like, oh, that's not funny anymore, is it?
No, I'm like, it's funny right now, but like when the time comes, I'll be like, Adam, we should have done that.
Well, to be fair, you're crying to him every night saying that you should have done that anyway. Like, still waiting for him to get good.
Yeah,
If it wasn't, if it
I
wasn't,
got my ring.
you didn't get your ring.
I got a ring.
Are you engaged?
No, we went straight
No, no, no,
in,
no,
no
no.
kissing.
No,
We just
sorry.
got married by a robot.
We're doing yes or no questions. Are you engaged?
No,
Are you married?
by a robot. That's not legal.
Yes or no questions, Shannon. Okay, I'll rephrase it.
No,
Are you legally married? No. So,
no.
like we're fond of saying, sit down, wind your neck in.
Okay, it was fun.
You don't
I
blame
like
me,
playing pretend.
blame Adam. You don't need to play pretend. Like, blame him. But like that's a conversation for a different day. You've had a rough week as it is. Do you want to fill people in on your week so far just so they can get a bit of context?
Oh, guys, you will never believe it. I ended up in A&E, and I hate A&E, so you know it was bad if I fucking went to that place. 12 hours of sitting around. Eventually got a gynecologist because the cysts were really sore for 5 days straight. I was actually kind of like, oh fuck me. Maybe this thing's gone. Maybe it blew up on me. Turns out nothing's different. And I was like, why am I in pain? They're like, we don't know. So I had an overnight stay and discharged, and now here I am telling the tale. It's fucking horrendous in the hospital. If you can avoid it, do. It's rotten up there right now. I slept on a floor for the first 6 hours with a blanket.
Was it your own blanket or their blanket?
Their blanket because they didn't have beds ready for. There was me and another girl, and both in similar situations, both cysts on the ovaries. She actually has stage four endo. We got chatting. We became roommates as well. It was great. But yeah, she was in that much pain. She actually had to be put into a wheelchair. She couldn't walk. And they were like, we don't have beds ready for you yet. And we were like, oh, fuck. And they were like, you're welcome to sleep on. Do you know them plastic chairs they had?
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck no, my arse gonna be broke on that. So I was like, give me the blanket. And they're like, okay. And I just made like a little bed on the floor and I just laid on it because I was like, I'm not trying to sleep on that shit.
Yeah.
Got my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. What better time to have it than 3 in the morning?
Yeah. Got woke at 6. I was like, thanks, guys. Putting a drip into me.
Yeah, to be fair, I've unfortunately for various different reasons had to be up in that hospital. And each time it's all usually Jane, but each time that I'm up there, I'm like, see when you're trying to sleep and they're waking you up like several times a night, let alone it being shite circumstances for sleep. I'm like, that's awful. Like I couldn't hack that.
Just let me poke you again with another needle. I'm like, get away from me. But
Yeah.
my bloods are fine, my urine's fine, everything's fine. I'm actually quite a healthy person, bar the cyst.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a bit of cope there, Shannon, but it's okay. Anyway, moving on. Thanks for bringing us up to date.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Dave and Toby for the music. Thanks for listening. Bye bye. The,
Bye.
uh, today's topic, actually, Shannon's taking the reins for today's topic. You actually gave us multiple things. Shannon's been on a roll this week. So, out of the topics, what are
I've
we
had a
just.
lot of time to myself when I do any form of exercise, so I got a lot of things to talk about.
It's a
But
bit more.
today's topic is, or we're meant to have Gary. If people haven't noticed by now, we have no Gary. Um,
Nobody fucking
so I was,
noticed. Everybody was having a great time. They're like, "Well, why is this podcast better than the rest of them so far?" And then now you're just, "Oh yeah, yes, Gary."
I don't know, Kyle. Me and Gary bring the banter. Remember, you're science guy, and that's why the topic's brilliant for you. I was looking for the male perspective on should females train differently to males. This is a bit of a buzz at the moment where like you should be cycle syncing, you're training, like there's phrase we aren't little men is being thrown about a bit. And yeah, I'm just wondering what is scientifically speaking the correct way to approach this as a female.
I love that you're asking me for science. I was actually just about to ask feelings first. I was like, well, I'll not ask you your feelings because you're the female and that's kind of ducking out the question. So I am going to throw my hands up here. It's funny, I got a voice note back from one of my clients yesterday and she was like, oh, I've got this real kind of achy pain in your ovaries, you know what I mean? And she went, actually, you don't know what I mean. And I was like, no, believe it or not, I remember doing it before I had you on as like part of biofitness. I was doing trainings and one of them was like training around the menstrual cycle. And one of the first things I had to say is like, I know this might be controversial, but I've never actually had a period. I've never had a menstrual cycle. I know you can't assume these things these days, but I haven't. So to tell you your lived experience, I can't. I can't physically. I can't do that. But there is science and there is evidence, and like I say with any other training on females that I do, I can't speak from experience because I don't have any experience being a female, but I have coached hundreds, if not thousands, of women, and I do use, as we all know, a bit of science to help out. So, the question and the way you formatted it is: should women be training differently to men? Is that the just so I'm right on the topic?
Yes.
Um, It depends on what you're training for, is really the first thing that we need to establish. If it is strength and muscle, my automatic and immediate reaction is I try not to overcomplicate things as best as I can. So with that, I think sometimes like if we look at extremes of it, like you're looking at let's look at what makes females and males different outside of like some having boobs and not like the obvious differences, but like in terms when it comes to some men have boobs, some men have
I love how both of us, our initial thoughts were boobs.
boobs. Shannon,
Boobs.
my thought process most of the time is boobs, regardless of what subject it is. So, but um, I think with that, we look at the physiological differences. Most women, whether you have a regular cycle or not, you do have some form of a menstrual cycle. And even if you're on the contraceptive pill or you're on something that doesn't give you a like a bleed as such, and your regular, like what you feel is your four phases, you typically will still have fluctuations throughout a month, albeit they might be minor. That's probably extrapolated even more when you look at people perimenopause, menopause, HRT, all of those fun and interesting things that women go through. But the first and most important thing is during those phases of a cycle, and it doesn't affect every woman the same. There will be points where you are stronger, there's points where you're weaker, there are points where your energy's higher, there's points where your craving's higher, there's points where your recovery's better, there's points where your strength is more predictable, and there's points where it's not. The issue in amongst that is you can't blanket all women with that. So if you say that all women are going to be weaker in the kind of phase of the bleed, that is going to discredit a lot of women who aren't. And it's also if you change your training style for every single woman who, again, like at that time of the month, then you're actually going to undertrain quite a lot of them. So there is going to be individual nuance. I think for the most part, I know I'm going on quite a lengthy part because it's not something I can just answer in a sentence as a yes or no. But I think for most of the women I coach, in terms of the principles of strength training and progressive overload, women can still build strength. They still have levels of testosterone. Testosterone, the reason that males can build muscle and be more predictable with muscle is because they have higher levels of testosterone. There is arguments to say that estrogen can help you recover more. So depending on your testosterone and estrogen, there is, and we'll go into the nuances of that a little bit deeper in the podcast. But women can absolutely build muscle. It can at times be harder because they don't have as much testosterone, but they can do it. And the principles of progressive overload are you need to be progressive with things. Frequency, volume, and progressive overload are still the three things and principles you're going to have to look at. The only varying factors that you would look at in terms of like changes I would make, and I do this with a few of my clients who we have noticed. So what I'll, just to fill everybody in, what I tend to do with all female clients that come through the door is we just get data to start off with. I will put a program in place for them. There might be a little bit more female bias and stuff in terms of like their hip to knee ratio is slightly different, so we need to have a little bit more bias on like glutes, quads, hamstrings. Like we might look at some of those things, but outside of that, females, they'll be on the program that they're on. We will look at the trends over a month to 2 month period and pretty much see what happens. We will look at, can you progressively overload? Can you not? Are you struggling? Blah, blah, blah. Are the points where you're weaker? Is the points where you're stronger? We will get all of that data. As we're getting that data, depending on an individual, we can look at pushing and not pushing, but a lot of it will come down to communication. So, for instance, Shannon, can I assume that you're a female? Can we say that you are female? Can we do that? Yeah.
Yeah. I've got the ovaries. I got them things. They're about to blow someday.
Shannon definitely knows what it feels like for her ovaries to be sore, so she can relate to this. But I'm so say, glad you know how we feel. I'm going to be one of you for today, being close.
Yeah,
But if I was
we'll let you in the club.
but if I was coaching you, Shannon, there's times we've done this where you're like even this week, last week, you were like, my ovaries feel like they're going to fucking blow up. I can't do certain movements. Like all I'll do is have a conversation with you and go, okay, cool, right. This week it's not about pushing at 10 out of 10 efforts. Let's take it down to like a RP7 and just go through the movement. Like take the weight down 10 to 15 kilos, see how that feels. If it's still causing you aggro, take it down another 10. Hi Milo. Take it down another 10 kilos or so. And then from that point, like you'll probably find that the following week that you'll be stronger again and you've given your wee ovaries a rest. Does Milo have something to say? Are you okay with all of that? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Milo is very, since I've been to hospital, it threw him off a wee bit, so he's been extra needy these days. He won't leave me alone. I can't even go to the toilet without him.
I didn't think he could be any more needy than he already is, but there you go.
No, there you go. crying outside my room apparently on Monday night because I wasn't there. Yeah, Milo, he's a very needy dog. But yes, most of that would make sense to me. Like, I only recently started getting a real bleed, as I keep telling everyone I'm a real girl now. But I've started tracking it. I've been tracking my cycle. I've been figuring out when I'm strongest, when I'm weakest. And since November, I still can't predict it properly. And I think that's why we shouldn't put women into just one category because there are some months where I can absolutely just float through the month. And then there's obviously this month where my ovaries were hurting. Now, bear in mind, there was a cyst that's as large as a fucking orange inside me, but it kind of varies. And I think that's where the problem is. And what annoys me the most about these new targeting women training programs that like you need to sync it with your cycle. So you need to be doing light movements like yoga on the week of your period. And then you need to be doing, Pilates following week because you're still in recovery of this. And then you can strength train. I'm like, that's just a load of nonsense, in my opinion. I don't see the benefits of changing your month, every month, every week, a new form of training to sync with a cycle. I just can't understand why you would even promote that.
I'm going to ask, what does that help? Like, if we strip all of that back and go, right, tell me objectively, again, science here, what are we trying to accomplish by doing that? Like, do you have an answer? Do you know?
No, as far as I'm aware, it's because it's your time in the month, and that means you're a little bit weaker, so you should be doing lighter movements for that. That is what I've gathered from these programs that I've seen. Now, obviously, my Instagram and your Instagram are very two different Instagrams because we get very different promotion things. I get gut health and all this jazz. I'm a female, they're targeting me. But this seems to be a new thing that I keep seeing is like get a program that suits your cycle, not just a plan that suits a man and all this. And I'm like, you're going backwards a bit, in my opinion. You're like basically saying women aren't able to still strength train while on their periods. There is some girls that I train and they fucking boss it during their periods. That's actually their peak time for training, which is confusing for some because other people would be weaker. And again, it comes down to each person.
Yeah, I would agree. It doesn't always, from the data that I have from the women that I coach, it doesn't always follow a linear path. And to be fair, even with the women who, for instance, would regularly be, let's say, weaker the time around the bleed. Like you can find that that'll happen for 2 months, and all of a sudden there's a month where all of a sudden they're just pushing through things. I'm like, well, that makes no sense whatsoever. So yeah, like I would.
Welcome to the female body.
But this is the thing, and I understand there's frustrations because there'll be a lot of females who are like, it's really frustrating because they don't understand their own body. Like, and then the doctors and the medical research, as you know, and as me having coached quite a lot of females knows, is piss poor. There is little to no support in terms of females when it comes to hormones and like understanding your body. But actually, a lot of the time, it is very difficult to understand unless you take. So the things I do, like with, again, run a service where like it's not a one size fits all. So some people who need different things. So I literally have spreadsheets for some of the women that I coach. I'll not name names or whatever, but we have literally individual, like we go down to the new on some of them. Like where I've had a conversation where one of them was like, I'm getting a lot of night sweats and stuff. Can we start to monitor that? I'm like, cool. So I've literally had it into our Excel table. I don't even know if you still call it Excel sheets, whatever you want to call it. Biometric tracker is what I call it. But we've added in like night sweats, period-like symptoms. We've literally put in bloating, put that in. Like so, we're monitoring those things, and over time we get a picture, and we've realised, which is no surprise to anybody, that when she gets flare-ups in terms of bloating and when she gets flare-ups in terms of, this is one individual I'm just thinking off the top of my head, when she gets night sweats and stress is high and fatigue is high, her weight goes up predictably like 2 to 3 kilos. It's not just a one kind of can change within a day or two. It's like a literally 2 to 3 kilos, and this person's like 70 kilos, so it's not like there are massive amounts of body weight there. So like it is quite a big fluctuation you get in weight as well, which is frustrating when you feel that you're doing everything right because they'll have one week where things are genuinely great, and then the next week it's like fucking can't get out of bed and can't move and can't do this, and that's a frustration.
Oh, I know about that fluctuation. I love holding water, me. I love water retention.
I'm not going to lie, and this is probably not going to sit well with most females listening because they're just going to go typical male saying this. But I'm like, my weight this week has been all over the shop, and I'm like, maybe I'm having my menstrual cycle because it's 2 weeks now in a row where I'm convinced calories don't work for me anymore, even though I've done this so many times that I know it will go down. But I'm like, I'm
Are
raging
you stressed these days?
just with you.
Oh, well, there you go. Just dealing with the stress of me over the last 2 weeks has you holding on to a bit of water retention.
I'd say so. Um, yeah, no, we'll
It's
go
about
with.
time.
But yeah, look, if I did have some notes. I came in prepared for this one because as much as I have winged pretty much everything so far in terms of haven't looked at them, I probably do think should be quite concise because it is a topic that people want to, or probably there is a lot of value to be had in it. So I'll tell you what the research shows in terms of like women and what they can do with recovery and fatigue. So research shows that women often recover faster between sets, handle higher training volume better at moderate loads, and experience less neuromuscular fatigue from the same percent of one rep max. So that might mean women can train with slightly higher reps, shorter rest periods, and higher frequency. Again, though, the principles of progressive overload and training do remain the same. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Sweet. Um, what is important and what I've stuck in my notes is not all women experience performance swings. And this also goes into a slightly different part is I know because I have I don't know if the word seeked out. I have been in the room with women who do speak on hormone specialists and are at the top level of what they do coaching wise to try and get what I can from them. And one of the things that I do remember, like multiple of them saying, is when you're a female and like I know it's not quite as linear this, but if you imagine four stages of a cycle, it's like spring, summer, autumn, winter. I know there's debate as to whether that be completely accurate or not, but let's just go with it for the sake of what I'm talking about. So spring,
A
summer, autumn.
simple hill.
Yeah, spring, summer, autumn.
Simple.
Go on, say
Can
that
I
again.
say that word? I can't get that word out. Simplicity. There, we'll go with that one instead.
We'll go with that and we'll move on. But if we look at four stages being your menstrual, your follicular, your ovulation, your luteal, I can't say that either, but here we are. There's words that we can't say and things I don't understand, but here we go. I'll never understand females in general, but that's a point for a different day in terms of training. I'm pretty decent at that. But if we imagine four different stages of cycle and there being the four different phases. So spring, summer, autumn, winter. There are females who, when it comes to autumn and winter, the stages of her cycle, so the week before the bleed and bleed, they'll find that they hold, no matter what they do when it comes to calories, no matter what they do when it comes to training, they will be weaker and they'll hold more weight, which is very frustrating when, from a psychological perspective, and this is where training, in terms of changing training, can help with these people if we can look at getting the data on it first. But when you weigh yourself every single day and you are on it and you're feeling like you're doing everything right, if your weight starts to go up, no matter how much logic you put in place, that starts to create a negative feedback loop. Like, there's nothing worse than feeling like you're getting negative feedback from doing a positive action. So that will have an effect. And a lot of females that more than anybody that I coach are do have issues with it when it comes to scales, but I believe it's just the issues they have with the scales is because they can't control them. So in those essences where I would change things is I have females that I'm like, do you know what, we're just not going to use the scales for these 2 weeks. And literally I'm like, there's 2 weeks, it's like sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks. We're just not going to use the scales for that period of time. And that's in unique circumstances. I would actually say that's less percentage of people than what you think it is. It's probably like 1 in 10, if not less than 1 in 10 in terms of females. So we have the same with goal for training as well. It's funny when you said about, I asked what you thought the purpose of like doing, like for instance, instead of like doing training, doing yoga around your cycle. Fucking class idea. Like it feels good for you, but like at the same time, it's not having any training effect in terms of like actually moving the needle forward for you, which is the issue. Like it's the same as what we touched on last week with this soft fitness. It's like, yeah, you can do things that feel good. I have no issue with that, but at the same time, if you are actually wanting results and moving the needle forward, you do still need to do a bit. And I think from understanding what you said was it helps lessen resistance or like fatigue. See, the great thing about resistance training, you have different weights you can pick from. So see if during that period of time
Mhm.
you you aren't feeling strong, just fucking take the weight down a wee bit because your nervous system will still get frequency and volume and you still get exposed to a weight. And the science is clear when it comes to resistance training, as much as progressive overload over time is the best thing to look at. Your body will still get response if you're within 5 reps of failure. 5 reps of failure is like you can practically go in and feel like you're fucking moving rather than anything else.
Yeah. And that's why I'm just like, this is a new marketing gimmick I'm seeing that it's just like, right, how can we get females to buy our product, our programs, and make it feel like it's specified to them? Or we'll give them this new one where they chop and change every week and they'll feel like it's personalized when really it's doing fucking nothing for you. You can still do your current training program, just reduce the weights, reduce the intensity, take longer rests if you need to.
Yeah, I agree in all of that. I think there's a lot of stuff out there that does more damage than good, and I can understand why people are more confused than ever because there will be people out there who make money from that because they're preying on people who have tried and they've been to a coach who's just like, no, you just need to batter through it and do coach women like men and without the nuance. Like to understand this completely, I'm like, women and men, there's not a massive amount of difference in terms of the way that you would set up them up in terms of a program, but the way you would coach them is differently. What I would expect from a man versus a woman are going to be not two completely different things because that's also untrue. I was going to go into an argument about some men that I have coached and do coach in the past that I'm like, I've had women who are more like can progressively overload more than men and put on more muscle mass than some men. And like, again, you can put that all down to like what variation of like testosterone and hormones you have. But at the same time, I think putting people into boxes to the level of like Shannon, I couldn't think of anything madder than me saying to you, like, you've won fucking powerlifting competitions and like you've like done all sorts. Imagine me every like 3 or 4 weeks going, right, Shannon, you're not doing any training this week, you're going to go and do yoga, you're going to go and like sit in a sauna for a bit. Like madness.
I would just be so insulted. I'd be like, why? What? Like, I could do anything you can do. That's the way I look at life. Might do it as well, but I'ma do it.
But that I think that's like I think that's the way. That is the way you're capable of a lot more than what you're thinking. Like there'll always be the temptation tiger of things that say to you, like, again, it's like these things on the flip side of it that men right now. So you talked about algorithms. I have on my algorithm, I actually have a high percentage of men talking to me about like TRT at the moment because sure, James Smith went on TRT and now he's promoting it, and there's lots of name a fitness influencer or a business coach that's not on TRT. Like there's very few, if any, of them. So it's a big buzz things. But I mean, it's targeting you and going, do you feel tired? Do you feel irritable? Is your like libido not what it used to be? And I'm like, well, all of that is true, but that's been true since I was about 23. Like, it's not we're not 19 with no responsibilities. There's stuff that's happening in life, but I don't think I need to inject something into me to fix that problem. I think we can start to assess that problem when I've looked at, am I actually managing my stress through actually getting enough sleep? Am I managing my nutrition? Am I deloading when I need to deload? And I think a lot of that is it's exactly the same with like females and female training. It's just a case of going, right, a lot of the things that prey on like your insecurities in terms of like there's majority of females, no matter what your symptoms are around about a period, don't feel their best self. But at the same time, it's different degrees of it. Like there will be people, as I said, who it's like, right, take a complete deload, and there will be people I'm like, right, charge on, let's just see what we get. Like it's just it's an individual thing. Like
It really is. It's so, and it changes each month. I will stand by that because, like I said, you won't always be weak around your period. There are months where you will definitely be able to just trooper on through. And I think you just not need to monitor yourself each month and not have someone telling you what you're meant to experience and that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think some of the issues I have when it comes to training differently in terms of that argument is that like people say that women shouldn't just lift weights or women shouldn't train heavy or shouldn't focus on strength or again avoiding intense training. I think sometimes that's where these programs or methods they have issues.
Mm. And it's mostly probably like high reps, low weights kind of programs. I haven't even looked into them properly because I was just like, I'm not arsed even having more of the shit on my page. But I'd imagine it's more like out hit workout because again, that is programmed more for women. Women seem to be more inclined to go that way. I don't know why we're still doing that kind of stuff, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think there's always going to be certain like there needs to be some variation in terms of like men and women's program have different bodies. Like there is going to be, for me, from a body compositional point of view, most women tend to want more kind of how do I say this? More enhanced glutes, hamstrings. So there'll be a bit more glute and hamstring work in there, longer hamstrings, perkier glutes. Like there'll probably be a bit more shoulder work in there to give defined shoulders and the impression of a slimmer waist. When it comes to performance outside of body composition, if you are running, there is a higher what we call Q angle between your hips and your knees, which creates a shearing force when you're running just means there tends to be needs to be more of a warm up in place. There needs to be a few activation exercises. We need to actually look at some kind of stability, mobility exercises if like frequency of running is high. But I'm sorry, I'm dying here off my throat. I don't know what's happening. I'm going to take a wee sip of Monster. I'll let you carry on.
Um, but yes, Science Guy was just explaining there that in regards to training wise, it's only a little tweaking between males and females, really and truly. Like there isn't a whole lot different that needs to be done. Like, sure, perfect example. Me and Adam, male and female, we've had quite similar programs before because we both like a certain style of training where we have actually been able to like go into gym and almost sync exactly the same workouts. The only difference is probably volume again because he has more testosterone than me. So say his deadlifts, he will lift a little bit more than me. But other than that, like we have done the exact same thing, and I've not had to take bigger breaks or less breaks or so on and so forth, and vice versa. We've just done the program. It's been as simple as that. Like it doesn't need to be as complicated as I think the world is trying to make it.
Yeah, I think men and women, and if you will look at this as well, women proportionately tend to have a higher lower body to upper body strength in terms of percentage. Men tend to have a higher upper body to lower body strength percentage. We as human beings love to do what we're good at because again, it gives us confirmation bias and makes us feel good. So typically if I'm programming well, there's not a massive difference within them. Theoretically, I tend to try and actually train more lower body stuff for men and more upper body stuff for women because actually you should be training the things that you're weakest at, not the strongest. But with that said, if I start programming, let's say, hip thrusts and 4 days of RDLs for Adam on top of hip thrusts and then put split squats in there, he's going to be like, mate, what are you doing? I don't want any of this because in his head, being a male, he's still going to be like, I want a bigger chest and bigger arms because 99% of males, like, I think the easy test in the future when you can't assume anybody's gender anymore is just ask them, right, cool. See, from a training perspective, what do you want? And like anyone who says bigger chest and bigger arms got to be male, and anybody who wants to have a bigger bum and more toned quads, thighs are got to be female. Like that's typically the way it works. So I think when it comes to loading parameters, yeah, there is going to be a higher bias of Men wanting upper body stuff, I have tried to give guys who don't need not giving them bicep curls in a program, and I'll tell you what, I've never seen fucking toys being thrown out the pram as quickly as that happening. But on the flip side, I've also given women the highest amount of glutes because again, if there's a 22-year-old girl who's feeling a little bit not insecure but wants to change her body composition, the first thing I get asked for is, can you put glutes in it? And if I put 12 sets of glutes in a program, I know the next week that she's going to come back and also go, can I get more of this? And eventually I like literally have to strip it and go, I have given you the absolute max amount of effective dosage for glutes. You cannot do any more glutes, but there is going to be if I don't give them any, there's going to be a fallout with it as well.
Why aren't I working my glutes?
Yeah.
And
But
do you know what? There's only a fucking small amount of things you can do for glutes, all right? It's a very slim pickings, in my opinion.
yeah, well,
Effective things.
we're only just getting past the 2015, 2016 thing when most of the people that you've seen on Instagram were eating avocados, influencers, and doing what do you call them, the cable kicks with I don't know what you call them, with the female influencers doing the cable kicks with like focusing on glutes and doing like the frog pumps and doing the kickbacks and stuff. And you're going, this is nonsense. That's now been replaced by like what do you call it, Pilates and yoga. That's now the new trendy thing because that's been all been debunked by science, but it's now because it's trendy to go in and bougie.
I'm laughing because I'm so behind the times because I've currently just started doing the glute kickbacks, but there's a method to my madness. I want a bit of a more shape in a certain area of my glutes, not just thinking it's going to plump the whole area.
There's how would I say this without not coming across like a dick? There
Come across like a dick.
No, there is also going to be the fact that sometimes effective programming is just giving somebody what they want. Like effective programming for me, sometimes I used to have, I'll not actually name the person, you'll know who it is. I used to have a guy who came on board, was very stuck in his ways. He hated doing any leg work. So for his leg work, I literally had to give him what he wanted first. So I was giving him like three sets of bicep curls and a set of shoulder raises before he even touched the leg press. Now that is not the best programming, and it's doing very little in terms of the volume of arms there because he's already got so much of it. But the thing is, he then done the leg press because he felt like he got what he wants. And sometimes programming just comes down to, do you know what, giving somebody a little bit of what they want before you give them the stuff they need.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we did with me. We gave me a little, I need it. I need a workout. Where did I come from? Oh, it came from, do you remember that trend where it was a photo of a girl and she was like, done my tricep workout, but it was basically just a glute photo. And then I took a picture taking the piss.
Yeah.
And it turns out I didn't have enough glute in me that my triceps actually did overtake the photo. And I was like, fuck.
Oh, that was tremendous. Yeah. So, yeah, Shannon put a picture of a girl doing like a tricep pose with her bum. Essentially, the focus was on the bum. So I asked ChatGPT, I was like, ChatGPT, can you tell me what this girl was trying to emphasize in this photo? And ChatGPT was like straight away going, the girl was definitely trying to emphasize glutes. And then Shannon done the same picture, and then we put it into ChatGPT. And it more or less said that Shannon's not got the glutes to emphasise. And I was like, ChatGPT's just done you. So all of a sudden, Shannon's now asking for 43 sets of glute stuff in her programming.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the only females that would never have really focused on their glutes. I was like, give me a back. I want a big back. I want men to fear me. Isn't that right, Milo? They have to fear me. Thank you.
As you sit there in your wee dressing gown, but yeah, no worries.
It's a hoodie.
Right. Yeah, so I think just to recap on the women side of things, like you don't need to train differently in terms of intensity, certainly not your ambition. Your strength goals can all stay the same. There is going to be some physiological differences, so your body is going to do something slightly differently. Your hormones, your recovery, your injury risk when it comes to, as I said, the kind of hip to knee ratio can be higher when doing certain things, and your menstrual cycle, whether it be regular or not, is going to affect things. And when it comes to making small changes on the fly, that might justify some adjustments that wouldn't quite be the same with men. But that's not something that anybody can ever predict before we actually get you like lining up things in the first place. Because any woman who's listening, if there's a program saying to you that on the week of your period you to go and do fucking Tai Chi as opposed to going and doing squatting, lies, mate. Absolute lies.
Liza Minnelli. That's what it is.
Liza Minnelli, indeed. I don't have anything else to add to that topic, Shannon. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think we covered it off pretty fucking well, to be fair. For one female and one pretend female today, and a Milo who could be a female as well, realistically. He's been raised by a girl his whole life.
Oh, Shannon, I could get you cancelled because as much as I said that I've never had a menstrual cycle and don't have ovaries, I have never stated my gender on this podcast, as far as I'm aware, and you have just called me a pretend female, so I am very offended by your terminology.
Oh well, tough luck. It's freedom of speech and all that jazz, isn't it now?
I'm
You
offended.
can't have an opinion.
I'm offended by your tone. I'm offended by your speech. I'm offended by your dressing gown. I'm offended by the fact that you were late. There's so many things that I'm offended by. Yet here we are.
Do you know what? Just write it in your diary. Get your feelings out there.
I will. Last and very, very last point on it actually just came to my mind. Female versus male in percentages of one rep max. So I remember it was, I'll give him
Ooh.
credit for it. Mark Ripito from Starting Strength said this: when it comes to, for instance, like males, you should be able to get a fairly clear indication of what their one rep max is based on what they can do for 3 reps, 5 reps, whatever. And I actually find it's quite easy to program and predict things. So, for me, for instance, if somebody can do, let's say, 90 kilos for 3 reps, there's a good chance they can do 100 kilos for 1 rep. For me, most of the time, 10 kilos equates to about 3 reps. So you can do 90 for 3, you can do 80 for 6, you can do 90 for 9, and it works the way up, and it's fairly scalable for men. Female, and not always 100%, but like it would be there or thereabouts. It's not far off ever. Females, on the other hand, like you could do 90 for 3, but then all of a sudden, like 95 for 1 just doesn't exist, even though it technically should. But then on the flip side of that, you can do 90 for 3 and it can look extremely hard, but then all of a sudden there's 105 there and it makes no sense either, like in terms of what regular programming is. And I think that is down to your, oh, what is it? Rate of force development at higher loads is slightly different in the sense that it's less predictable. So I certainly know for myself when I've been coaching females at powerlifting competitions, sometimes when something looks awfully hard, I'm like, there could be 10 or 15 kilos in there, and we actually don't know. Sometimes it's just a fucking let's hit and hope for the best, and sometimes it happens. On the other hand, I've been super confident and went, there's 20 kilos in there, but then you go up by 10 and all of a sudden it doesn't move, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? It just like doesn't move at all. Whereas men, on the other hand, are a lot more predictable, and I can actually just call them a shite bag if they didn't, like if somebody got 90 for 3 and they tried 100 for 1 and it just didn't move, I'd be like, absolute shite bag, because I know scientifically they should be able to at least move it. Like,
We're just unpredictable. Love being a woman, me.
yeah, I know. It was
One
just
of God's greatest mysteries we are.
yeah. With that, thank you, Dave and Toby, for the music. Listening, and bye bye.